What's up, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in. Very excited to be starting a new series for everybody. This is going to be over routines. First one being a morning routine. And a lot of what I'm actually going to talk about today are not things to add into your morning, but more of a not to-do list. I think there's a few things that we can remove from our morning routine that's going to benefit us greatly throughout the day. So, starting off with mainly like what should we not do? And one of the things is we should not do is get screen light before sunlight. And so let's kind of like dig into that. How many of us wake up first thing in the morning, we're grabbing that phone off the nightstand while in bed, reading emails, reading social media, doing different items like that? What this is going to do is set our brain up in a few different ways. One, it's a huge dopamine rush anytime we look at our phone. They're built a specific way, the lights, everything going on, our brains really like that. And so we're messing with kind of our dopamine timing throughout the day by starting out with this. And that's something we don't necessarily want to do. What I would also really kind of push people to do is don't go straight to email. We don't want to check email first thing. Myself, I check email last. Email is the thing where instead of pumping on social media because I'm bored and seeing what's going on, I'll just open up my email inbox because I'm bored. But that is not, there's very little pressing information that's going to come in through your email inbox. Typically, your email inbox is how people, if I need you to do something, that's how I get to you. And so instead of doing the things that you need to do to advance your life, we're doing the things that others need us to do so they can advance theirs. So it's something I pay a lot of attention to, is not starting my day with email. Before we get too far on this and I add in this next part, the sunlight before screen light. There's countless studies, research, all these different items going on. And if you want to learn way more about this, go check out Dr. Andrew Huberman and the Huberman Lab, where regardless of the topic, they always bring up sunlight and morning sunlight. We want to try to get 10 minutes of morning sunlight if the sun is out. If it's cloudy, maybe we need to get 20 minutes out there. And this is going to help us not have as much, like if we're struggling right now with depression, morning sunlight is one of the leading things that's going to help with that. But where this is really going to help us is being able to get to sleep that night. So if you're an insomniac, if you have a hard time sleeping, getting sunlight first thing in the morning is going to set off that circadian rhythm and all these biological processes that happen throughout the day. And it's going to set you up to 12 to 16 hours after that point. We'll start producing melatonin. We'll start producing these chemicals in our brain that help us to go to bed. And so we want to get that sunlight. If you're waking up at 5 a.m., you're getting up before sunlight, we still want to, as much as we can, get our house bright. Turn on bright lights, turn on different things. You can get lights that put out like the same spectrum of rays and different items like that as the sun. But yeah, just make your house really bright. As soon as the sun does come out, see if we can go out there, drink your coffee, whatever it is, but get you 10 to 20 minutes of sunlight every day, first thing in the morning. It'll help you so much. I've slept so much better since starting this for myself. Another big thing in this and so a lot of this we're talking about like the first hour to hour and a half upon waking. And so another item in here, and this is from Dr. Andrew Huberman as well as Dr. Matthew Walker. And so Matt Walker wrote a book called Why We Sleep. He's probably the leading sleep expert right now, and something that he talks about a lot is the different stages of sleep. And we've all heard this. You have your light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. They all do different things for us. That first hour upon waking, they're showing, is a huge point for us humans as far as neuroplasticity or learning new items. And so every day we're out here learning. And if we want to take a concept and we want to actually learn it, cement it into our memory, our brain, and be able to apply that later on, that first hour or hour and a half upon waking is quite important. And so what they've kind of put together is you learn a new concept in your sleep, in your dreams, and these different things. Your brain kind of deconstructs it and is like looking at it from all these different angles. And then that first hour upon waking, it's putting the pieces back together. And so if we want to learn something from it one day and take that into the next day, as we should all be doing, we should all be trying to learn and grow from day to day, we want to take in no new information in that first hour. Allow your brain to process the information you've brought with it already. And then after that, we can start to bring in new information like emails, like social media, like different items like that. So another big one that we want to try to push out past that first hour, maybe past that 90-minute mark of waking up, is consuming caffeine. And I know that this sounds like a crazy thing for most people. Most of us are rushing right to that coffee pot to either turn it on, or we already had it programmed and it's already spit out that first cup of coffee right upon us waking up. So let's start with caffeine doesn't wake us up, okay? Coffee doesn't wake us up. It doesn't give us energy. What it does is it clears out a chemical called adenosine. And what adenosine is throughout the day, this compound builds up in your brain to provide you with sleep pressure. And so at night, that pressure, you feel your eyes getting heavy, feeling the need to go lay down and go to bed, that is from a buildup of adenosine. And every morning you wake up with that still in your brain. We have other chemicals inside of our body. Cortisol, being like the stress hormone, is higher in the mornings. And it's one of its roles, and the reason it is higher is so that it can remove this adenosine as we wake up. If we use caffeine instead of our natural processes to block or push this adenosine back, it's going to come back. And so we look at coffee having like a 4 to 6 hour half-life, meaning the caffeine is going to be in your system for 4 to 6 hours at like half of the amount of whatever you consumed. That usually puts us in that 12 to 2 o'clock window, and that's where a lot of people talk about being very tired. We need to take a nap after lunch, that afternoon sleepies, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes this can be because of the items we eat. That can be, but what I would argue from me personally seeing the results from this, I stopped drinking coffee within that first hour of waking up, and I don't have to take his nap after lunch anymore. And it's crazy. That was something I did for the longest time, was take that nap. And just by pushing coffee out an hour, I no longer have to do that. Okay, so let's recap before we move on from this point. The first 60 to 90 minutes of your morning is quite important. We're going to try to not consume caffeine, nor look at our phone. Okay, and in doing these things, we're going to allow us to have more energy and more dopamine to use throughout the day. In not looking at that new phone, we're not going to be checking email, we're not fear of missing out from looking at social media and all these different things. So no caffeine, no new information. That's kind of how we'll put that part up. I've followed the no caffeine part for maybe 6 months now. I've seen excellent results. I've done the no phone thing for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it truly is remarkable. In that moment of picking it up and looking at it, you don't feel anxiety, you don't feel these different items, but you are setting yourself up to have that later in the day. And so if we do get anxious later in the day, if we do feel uncomfortable, we don't enjoy the later parts of the day, seriously, just try to not check your phone in bed, and let's see how much that helps. Okay, so if I'm not drinking coffee, I'm not scrolling on my phone, I'm not taking in new information, what the hell am I doing for that first 60 to 90 minutes? I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? It doesn't have to be what you do, and I can help you figure this out if you would like to, but here's what I do. I wake up, I take a shower, okay? So I'm getting ready for the day, I eat breakfast, and I start to plan my day. So I'm not taking in new information, I'm not necessarily looking at my calendar, I already did that the night before, and that'll come in a later routine. But I'm planning my day. I'm looking at what I have coming up. I'm spending time with Kelsey, journaling if that's where I need to do that morning. But I have 60 to 90 minutes to see how I feel about the world. Not how the world feels about me, not seeing the tasks that I need to go do for myself or for other people, but what does Jonathan want? What does Jonathan need in this moment? And so I get an hour to get ready, I'll eat my breakfast, I'll look at my plan throughout the day, I can write down some thoughts if there's something on my mind, and it's excellent. I really do enjoy it. I try in the same time to go out there and I try to get some of this morning sunlight. Or sometimes what it looks like is me getting to the gym, and when I get here, I go walk the dogs, and I get some of that morning sunlight before starting my day. The last part to kind of sum this up, if you want to get ahead in life, if you want, and this doesn't mean ahead of other people, if where you are at right now you're not necessarily content with, and you want to expand, you want to push a little further than where you currently are at, own your mornings. Own that first 60 to 90 minutes, and you should protect it against all costs. And if you've listened to me this far and you think, well, that must be pretty lucky. You know, I don't have the benefit of not checking my email. I'm needed, I'm busy, I'm an important person, I've got all this work and stuff that's going on. That's probably true. But then ask yourself, are you living your life or are you living for someone else? Are you living for your boss? Are you doing exactly what the boss says? Are you checking the email to make sure that you don't disappoint them? Or are you living life for you? And depending upon like schedules and stuff, this may just mean that you need to wake up a little bit earlier so that we have this additional time. It was that for myself. I've set the alarm back a little bit earlier. I get more time to enjoy my morning, and while I'm waking up earlier, I'm actually happier throughout the day because I've had my little bit of me time there in the morning. This could be waking up a little bit earlier, as I just mentioned. This could be setting some more boundaries around work and life balance, and this can be very helpful. For some of you, you may listen to this and think, shit, I have to restart everything. And hopefully, like some of you feel that. It's very easy to get caught up in the flow of life. We start living for other people, and all of a sudden we realize that we're not all that happy. So let's try to break out 60 to 90 minutes in the morning, and in doing that, we may actually learn a lot about ourselves. This morning routine is going to tie into the other routines, and then when we go to doing like our nighttime routine, it'll tie heavily into the morning routine. How to have a great morning does typically start the night before. Really quick to kind of run through everything that we've talked about so far. For the first hour, first thing that we want to do, sunlight before screen light. Don't bring up the phone, don't bring up the task for the day. You have at least give yourself an hour to not be a task bunny. Sunlight before screen light. We're not checking the phone in bed. We're not checking our email. We're not bringing in new information. These items, they're very helpful. This is our not to-do list. If we can push coffee or caffeine 60 minutes out, you're going to have way more energy throughout the day. We're going to use this time that we're gaining back to plan our day, to plan our life, to spend time with our family, and ultimately move ourselves ahead. That is the ultimate goal with any routine, is taking us where we are now and moving ourselves further. It doesn't matter, you're not moving past other people. We don't care about other people. We don't compare ourselves to other people. We compare ourselves to who we were the day before.